Welcome back to the Final Corner podcast. On this week's show, we're talking about the Gran Premio d'Italia 2024, the Italian Grand Prix from Monza. A home race for Ferrari, so of course they've turned up their engine and finally been good at a race, and I fully expect them to crap again next week. So, Tom, Nick, welcome again. No BTCC this week, just the F1. How was your weekend? Did you enjoy it?
Arrivederci. Or something.
Grazie mille.
Grazie mille.
I'm going to have a beer in Moretti after this, just to mark it.
Brewed in Wales.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's
Probably.
That spoiled it for me.
Have a look at the bottle. Let us know. It was perfectly fine. But as it is the modern way with Formula One, highly contentious.
Yes. The usual of late of not a great Grand Prix, but an interesting one.
Yes. Which I'll take.
Oh, yes.
What about you, Colin?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. Had an interesting fight for the race, and I did laugh when Nick's prediction came true.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
He's been the only man I've seen keep an eye on this, and he was right. Kevin Magnussen finally got his race ban. So well done, Nick, off the bat. Well done to you.
Thank you. We will come to that later.
What's the lottery numbers next week?
Oh, if I knew that, would be going to work.
Yes. So, I think we started the weekend, was it with Kimi Antonelli being confirmed?
And then crashing.
Yes.
Well, the other way around.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Crashed, then confirmed.
Yeah. 10 minutes, I think it lasted, wasn't it? In FP1.
Yeah, it was.
To be fair, did you watch his onboard of that lap?
Mm-hmm.
It was like his first and second lap, he was absolutely going for it. So it's not a surprise he binned it, but he was trying to go flat out immediately. But fair play to the lad.
It's good, but is it what you're supposed to do in FP1 when it's not your car?
Yeah, the traces on the car were saying that he was something like 15 kilometres an hour quicker than Lewis was through 2 or 3 of the earlier corners. And that was the problem, is that he'd put too much temperature into the tyres early in the lap, so he had no rear tyres by the time he got to Parabolica.
Yeah, I did see people say, "Oh, did you see the rest of that though? Whoa, quick!" But
yeah,
that's not the way to drive these tyres. So.
Yes, unfortunately.
Anyway, lesson learned.
Youthful exuberance.
Well, yeah, I mean, he does still look about 12, so...
Yes. So that was it, really, for practice, other than the safety car went very unsafe into the wall at Parabolica.
Yes.
Do you know, that's not a good look for a heavily marketed, sponsored car for Aston Martin, I don't think. We don't know, and maybe we'll never know, but it looked like some brake issue. In my opinion, good old Bernd, he put the car into a spin deliberately, which is very clever thinking. You don't want to go head-on with no brakes, if that was the case.
It was a braking issue, he said. He hasn't confirmed what, but he said he hit the brakes and, quote, nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Probably doesn't mean nothing completely, but it didn't slow down like it was supposed to.
No, well, yeah, there's barely any retardation there, and he goes, "Oh, well, left, right, spin."
Yeah.
Actually, considering the impact, quite big speed, I don't think the car's crazily damaged.
No, and I know it needed to be replaced, obviously, with another one, but yeah, bit of buffing out, it'll be fine.
Yeah, if anyone wants a cheap Aston Martin, actually, I don't think this particular one would ever is not for sale, would ever be sold again, because this is actually the unannounced F1 edition of the new Vantage that they use. But they just haven't, and it's got a rear wing and extra aero bits that the normal version doesn't have. And I suspect that, later this year or next year, that'll be announced. Oh, you can buy, it's the same as the safety car. They did it with the previous generation as well. Anyway, moving on.
Well, the only other bit of news we had over the weekend is potential with Aston Martin again.
Oh, yes.
Which is that Adrian Newey is supposedly going to be confirmed as joining Aston, and this will be released at Baku.
Apparently, I did read somewhere, and I forget the publication, apologies, that Aston Martin has sent out a reminder to some sort of announcement on the 10th,
Yes.
which is before, on the week run-up to Baku, I guess.
Ah, yes, that's a good point.
So the week of. But we'll see if that's... they could troll everybody on the 10th and go,
Yeah.
new contract for Lance Stroll, extra extension.
Extra. Yeah.
Imagine Lance Stroll in a race-winning car. It just wouldn't feel right, would it?
Would it still be a race-winning car if he was driving?
Yeah, it's very true.
I mean, arguably, you had that with that tracing paper racing point thing. Pink Mercedes.
And, that didn't go well, did it?
No, Perez snagged the win.
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Earned him a career out of that.
It did.
Got him a Red Bull contract.
It did. So, straight on to qualifying then. Colapinto was his first session in the Williams, and he was 18th. So he perfectly matched what Logan Sargent would have done.
I mean, that's all we can expect.
Yep. I mean, 6 tenths slower than Alex Albon in Q1.
Plus, he didn't finish his second flying lap.
Yep.
Or he did finish it, but he went wide on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exit the Lesmos, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, fair play. Lance Stroll was out in Q1 because Lance Stroll. Q2, there wasn't really any big names missing out in Q2.
Both Hasses were through, though, isn't it? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Hulkenberg even made it in the 10th.
They looked like in... was it at the end of Q3 where Magnussen caused the yellow flag at the Parabolica?
Oh, yeah, the contentious issue.
Suspicious.
Was it deliberate? Wasn't it? We'll never know, but if it
My
was,
vote is yes.
It was genius.
Yeah, it worked.
Alex Albon made it into Q3. He finished in 9th at the end of this one, and they've brought upgrades to the car, so they feel like they're going to score points now.
Yeah, but it's also the traditional Williams good run at Monza.
Yes.
Upgrades or no upgrades. Let's see. I'll judge that in the next few races, thanks. They always do well at Monza the last 2 years.
And then we had the McLaren 1-2. Norris Piastri was top 2. Leclerc and Sainz were 4th and 5th. And somewhat surprisingly, Verstappen and Perez were 7th and 8th.
And not looking in any danger of challenging either.
It was a fantastic qualifying session, I thought, in Q3.
Yeah.
Because it is very, very close. The top 8 are very close still, I think. Or top 9, maybe, let's say.
Well, the top, the top 6 were separated by under 2 tenths. I haven't had that for a while.
Staggering. Oh, yeah, I actually slightly misread the results there, that Verstappen's half a second behind Hamilton. I've not said that in a while.
No. I mean, if you take his best time, which was in Q2, it wouldn't have changed his position.
Wow.
It'd have still been 7th at the end of that. So, yeah, the Red Bull's off the pace, and it was interesting to hear Perez's interview that he's raising a little eyebrow. I think that Max is suddenly experiencing all the issues that he's been experiencing all season. So, again, I wonder what's changed on that car that this went wrong.
Well, Mr. Newey's not involved anymore, but I doubt that should have such an effect halfway through a season.
Yeah, so do I, but it is amusing that Adrian Newey's last official involvement with the race team was at Miami, which was the last time they looked particularly good. So, even though they didn't win that race, they looked good.
It's bizarre. They had such a dominant car and driver combination. And I don't think it's just that the others have caught up and exceeded them. I think Red Bull's having a dip as well.
The interesting thing I thought was this year they ditched the car model that they were using before, and they went down a similar path to what Mercedes did with the whole zero pod thing. And the problem the Mercedes had with that is it was really hard to get it into an operating window.
Yep.
I know they're completely different cars, but I wonder if there's a similarity there, that they just can't get it to work as it should do.
Or maybe it comes out at the end of the year, they've had to remove some stuff.
With that as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the car on board, it doesn't turn. And then especially for Verstappen, when you see him mid corner, it's really unstable. Whereas at the start of the year, the thing looked on rails.
Yeah.
So whatever they've done development-wise, years went wrong. Or as you say, there's rumours that things were taken off the car, but the HIA said that isn't the case. So we just have to believe them. On to the race, and it's a okay start from the McLarens at the front. Norris keeps the lead into turn 1. Piastri is alongside him going into turn 1. Russell gets a decent goal ahead, but has to back off behind Piastri. Almost runs into the back of Piastri and has to bail out. He then has to cut across the chicane, and he drops down to the point where he's side by side with Lewis in his fight with Max, going into turn 3. Yes.
Curva Grande.
No, that's 2.
Oh, sorry, yeah. That's technically 3, because the 2 parts of the chicane, just to be weird about it. Yeah. So going into the second chicane.
Yes, the Variante della Roggia, where he's recovering in there. Oscar Piastri puts a great move at that chicane around the outside of Lando Norris. Norris almost does a Vettel and spins it, but manages to hold on, so Piastri takes the lead, and then, because Norris has been held up, he loses a position to Charles Leclerc going into the Lesmos. So McLaren go from a 1-2 to a 1-3, and yet again Lando Norris goes from pole to 3rd place on an opening lap. First off, I'll let you guys comment on the move.
The move was great.
Yes, brilliant.
Whether or not he should have been doing it is up for debate. I think he should have, because there is supposedly no team orders there. So why not? It wasn't dangerous. It was brave. And he left it up to Lando as to whether there would be an accident or not. I think if Lando had given him a tiny bit more room, he could have kept second, but that's easy to say in hindsight. He was trying to defend the place as well.
I just don't think that Norris is so far back in the driver's points. I'm conflicted because I'd like him to do really well every race to create a spicy championship fight at the end. But he's so far back that I'm not sure he deserves. He certainly hasn't earned the right, I don't think, at the moment to assume that his teammate will just give him every position till the end of the season. I still think there's a few races left to play out to see if it's worthwhile. So I if there wasn't a mandate internally to say, right, always let Lando through, then I think that's probably the right thing to do. I think some people are getting confused or forgetting the fact that he's still a really long far way back behind Max Verstappen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's 62 points behind Max with 8 races to go. You could easily take the tact, right, we need to push everyone behind Norris because he's our only chance of catching.
But they're more interested in the teams.
Yeah, we should do it as early as possible, help Norris try and get there, make the best of it. But Norris hasn't beaten Piastri in a manner which I think, earns him that right yet. There's 8 races left. It's still a huge amount of the season to go. Where Norris, if he wants that, needs to be politicking that. He wants the team orders imposed immediately. And if he wanted that, he should have done it before now.
Yeah.
Sebastian Loeb would have done it. That's a reference for a different sport completely.
Yeah. People always reference Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, even Alonso when he was at Ferrari, etc. They have a number one driver that fights for the title, and that's how it should be done. But people don't seem to remember that those drivers beat their teammate so comprehensively that they were given a priority because they were smashing their teammate.
Although in the case of Webber versus Vettel, Webber could beat Vettel, and there was a time as well where he was in contention for the championship one season. I forget which one. He crashed in Korea, I remember. And then Vettel was just petulant, and the team were all behind him.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, do you think Piastri's manager, who's Mark Webber now, is saying, "Oh yeah, we'll agree to turn 1."
Exactly.
Get him at turn 4.
I would be shocked if there wasn't clauses in Piastri's contract that gave him certain rights.
Yeah.
But overriding fact is there will be a team orders clause. So if McLaren really want to back Norris now, they've got to make a decision. To me, Piastri did nothing wrong there, unless he was told pre-race not to. He done the right thing because he was quicker, and it was a great move.
Yeah, and I don't think there were any team orders before that, because I think we would have heard nothing but Lando complaining for the next 10 laps. Why did he overtake me?
Yeah, maybe he did, but FOM just didn't play it.
Yeah, Lando was furious.
I'm wondering as well, like when the race actually played out. I don't want to jump ahead, but Piastri was quicker.
Yeah.
Unlike
Totally.
Hungary, where you could argue that he kind of wasn't.
No, but it has been circuit by circuit. I mean, at Miami, Lando won, but I think Piastri looked the quicker of the two. It was just circumstances, whereas in Holland, or the Netherlands, I should say, Lando was much quicker than Piastri and deserved to win that. So it's not an open and shut case as to which one of them is the quickest. It's been circumstances so far that have dictated their championship positions, I think.
Yeah, so I think there's like 50 points or something close to that between Piastri and Norris.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they want to go for the drivers, they probably should make that decision now. But, I don't blame Piastri for racing for himself.
I still think it's a bit too early. Give it 2 more races. But
Yeah.
I think actually whatever happens now, that discussion as we record it is probably happening.
Yeah.
And
now
we've got this new expression that the media's going to use over and over and over and over and over and over. And I would too, to be fair. Papaya rules.
As soon as I heard it, I thought, oh, no.
Yeah, it's such a soundbite, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah,
And it comes down to don't hit each other. So,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense.
yeah.
Just, why have they branded it?
Yeah.
Next, we'll have flipping sponsored. Ferrari. Yeah, HP rules.
Yeah. Max is overtaken by Lewis at the chicane, and so Russell got a wee whack on his front right from Max's rear corner. Max was complaining about the entry to the corner that Lewis didn't leave enough space, and there was contact. Again, looked fine to me, but what's your guys' thoughts?
If I'm honest, I didn't see it. I heard it was similar to what Hamilton did either last year or the year before, where he sort of just eased towards the outside of the track and pushed slightly.
It really is minimal. He leaves a car gap, in my opinion. Like when you watch it back, you can't really even spot it.
Nico Hülkenberg then gets his race spoiled by Daniel Ricciardo at Ascari. He drifts out to the outside and puts Hülkenberg onto the grass, and gets a 5-second penalty for that one.
Yeah, it's lackadaisical awareness from Ricciardo there. He's half asleep.
Yes.
And that 5 seconds turned into a 15-second penalty because they served it wrong.
Did you see the person
I
who
felt
touched
so
it?
sorry for him.
Yeah.
He literally put his hand on the wing as it came in, like he always would, and as soon as he touched it, you could see he was just like, "Oh, that was it."
He looked so resigned, didn't he? Immediately, like, very meme-worthy.
Yeah, poor lad. That Ascari chicane was interesting this year because they've changed the curbs.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yes. Yeah, all the drivers hate it, even though it allows them to shortcut it a lot more than they have done previously, but it also takes the skill out of the cornering.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
can just go straight over the curb, whereas before you had those tiny little, I want to say
snails.
corrugated curbs, but that's not what I mean. You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And there was a drainage ditch as well that they were saying they used to be able to hook the tyre into and things like that, and it was a real skillful art to take the corner well, whereas now you just drive over the curb.
Yeah, I don't really know why they changed that. Like it was already a big deterrent not to go on the curb. So the other changes, I mean, they put a bit of gravel into the first chicane. Not really sure what that does.
No, but it's better than what they had before, which was massive curbs that you jumped over.
Yeah.
The one I did like is the second Lesmo, where they reined in the gravel trap, similar to what I was talking about at Knock Hill at the chicane.
Oh, an exit.
where they used to have like an extra bit of runoff past the curb.
Yeah.
And they've got rid of that and brought the gravel up to the curb, which is what caught a few people out in qualifying. But I like that.
I like that. I mean, it brings more gravel on the track, so someone will complain. But again, I like it.
Well, even caught out Norris and Verstappen during the race. Both of those ran wide and almost lost on the gravel.
Yeah, but at least during a boring part of the race, you have a lovely slow-mo.
This is true. And it adds what like Brundle likes to call mistake generators.
Mistake generators. Oh, God.
Speaking of mistakes, Nico Hülkenberg puts an absolutely ridiculous move on Yuki Tsunoda at turn 1. Obviously trying to recover from his earlier incident with Ricciardo. It's a move that is nowhere near done. Or on at all, I meant to say. And he slams into the side of Tsunoda, who must have picked up damage. Fairly significant. And yeah, I felt sorry for Tsunoda there, which it was pretty poor. Pretty for a guy who's normally fairly consistent in his moves and driving. That was shocking from Hülkenberg, and he picked up a 10-second penalty for it.
Looked a bit desperate. Maybe he was trying to make amends for the start of the race, which Ricciardo put him off. But uncharacteristic mistake. Yeah.
Part of me wonders if he thought it was Ricciardo and he was trying to get a bit of revenge. Not sure. But did you hear what Yuki said on the radio?
Oh, yeah, salami. He called him a salami. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I don't get it. But it's just hilarious. He starts complaining about him and he goes, "What a salami."
I mean, all I could think of was, does he mean like silly sausage or something? I don't know. But the team is Italian, so maybe it's an in-joke there. But it was funny. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Well, that was very bizarre.
Yes. So elsewhere, Russell's got damage to his front wing and gets overtaken by Sergio Perez. So you know you're slow when that happens.
Ouch.
Kev Magnussen passes Daniel Ricciardo around outside of turn 1.
Yeah, that was a nice little move, because you don't often see that happening without someone having to cut the chicane in the end.
Yeah. George Russell pits, changes front wing, which kind of spoils his race. There was a few times at turn 1 he kept running onto the grass on the way in. And it's just bizarre. Lando Norris, who's in third, is very upset and decides to try and undercut Leclerc in front. Coming into pits, he locks up and hits the entry bollard, but wasn't picked up for speeding, so he got away with it.
Yeah, looks like he was speeding to me.
I mean, the tyre was still smoking for a good couple of feet after the line, so he was still locked up at that point, but must have just got it slowed down enough.
Yeah, he looked like a lucky boy. So Leclerc and Hamilton both pits, and Leclerc comes out behind Norris, so the undercut worked. Leclerc is upset at this point. Why did we undercut? Why did we not go longer? Which is a fair enough question to ask, but it all came back to him at the end. Piastri pits from the lead and manages to keep it at this point. Then we see the other Haas making a howler of a move. Wasn't bad anyway, near as bad as Hülkenberg's, but he tries to go up the inside of the second chicane on the Alpine of Pierre Gasly. Walks up, hits the side of Gasly. Gasly continues and keeps the position. Didn't really look like he lost too much time to the car in front either. But this picked up Magnussen a 10-second penalty.
Yeah, and Gasly himself said it was wheel-to-wheel contact. Neither of us lost anything. And he didn't see an issue with it. I thought it was one of those where the move was on, and if he hadn't just locked the wheel at that last second, he would have made the apex, I believe. So it wasn't a reckless move. It was just an unfortunate thing. And no one got any damage from it. So I can understand a penalty. I know you don't agree with that one, Colin, but he made contact with another car, forced him off the track, so I can understand a penalty.
Oh, I don't disagree with the penalty. I disagree with the penalty points. That move should not earn you a race ban.
It's not that move though, is it? It's a culmination.
It got him 2 penalty points, but the penalty points are supposed to be for dangerous driving, and I do not consider that dangerous driving.
Do you see what Andrew Watson gets away with this year? So, I agree with you. The penalty point system the fact I think you get penalty points for like absolutely minor things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't remember what I read something the other day that give you an example of what someone got penalty points for, and it was absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think that's what that system is for. That system is for Orlando Maldonado. Whatever his name was, Thingy Maldonado.
Pastor Maldonado.
Pastor Maldonado. God, I've got Orlando in my head.
Italy.
Yeah.
Pasta.
No. Rigatoni. So yeah, that's for people like Kat who can't drive, put people at risk. When you go for a fair move that doesn't come off, it's fair enough. When you go for a dive bomb like Hulkenberg, that's a penalty points for me because that's not on. Whereas I agree with you, Nick. This move was, at least looked like it was on.
Yeah, side by side, fully alongside. He locks up and he's just too shallow angle. But
yeah,
the race ban is not for that, is it? Just I know we've just said that, but it's for other transgressions, and he has been driving like a bit of twerp for most of the year, in my opinion, because he's been doing the team game very, very hard.
But 5 of his penalty points are all from Miami.
Yeah, right. One race.
He deserved those. So come on.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Those were deserved.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the other 2 before that were for a collision with Alex Albon during the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which I don't remember what that was, and a collision with Yuki Tsunoda in the Chinese Grand Prix.
Oh, that one was terrible.
What happened? I can't remember now.
Oh, that was the one where he almost flipped him, basically. Tsunoda was on the outside, and Magnussen did that ridiculous move where he just completely drove the corners if Tsunoda wasn't there and spun him out, and then blamed Tsunoda for it in his post-race interview. So
that's fair enough for penalty points.
yeah, exactly.
So Behrman in the next race?
It's not been confirmed, has it?
They haven't said who it will be. There's technically it should be. Is it Fittipaldi? Pietro Fittipaldi?
Oh yeah,
because he is their named reserve driver. But it would make much more sense if they can to have Behrman do it.
Which is the next race again?
Baku.
Is F2 there? Ooh.
Bit of live Googling.
Because that might be tricky. Yep, sorry. Throwing the questions and not knowing beforehand. That's pretty bad. Yeah, F2 is there. Ooh. So if it's Behrman, mind you, he's not in fight. He's not in contention for the championship. So
no,
he did win at the weekend though.
Elsewhere in the strategy battle, Max was on the hards to start. He goes into hards at his first stop, for his second stint, but it's a slow stop, which compromises him. Carlos Sainz is the last of the medium runners to pit and keeps ahead of Lewis Hamilton, despite Hamilton pitting earlier. Perez on a 2-stop strategy. Russell manages to get the position back round outside of turn 1, but Perez shoves him off. Russell cuts the corner and Checo holds the position. This happened quite a few times, either someone defending or someone overtaking. I think it happened 3 times to Alex Albon, where the guy on the outside has to cut the chicane. But I think when Max Verstappen tried that, we said that he should have backed out and Lewis Hamilton. So
yeah, it's very true. Just the nature of the corner makes it very awkward. It starts to make me wonder if they should make it so as you have to rejoin down by where the bollards are somehow. But maybe take the grass away and put something in to make sure that if you are cutting it, you will lose a place.
Yeah. So yeah, Russell gets back up the field a little bit. Eventually, he gets him after his second stop, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So he does manage to take the place from Perez. Lando Norris messes up the second chicane and allows Leclerc to close up in the back of him. He then has a slow pit stop, which costs him another few seconds, which may become fairly critical at the end of this. Max then defends for Norris for a few laps, which you've highlighted here, Nick, which was fairly interesting. He asked whether he should defend or not, which I can understand. do I preserve my own race, or is it more important to stop Russell getting further up the field? I suppose at that point Max knew he wasn't going to win and probably wasn't going to get a podium, so Hutton Norris was probably the better option.
Or just mess around with the championship round.
Yeah, that's the only reason I could think of. I just thought, from a race point of view, this single race, it made no sense whatsoever because he was slowing himself down. But if it's to try and hold him up at the championship, I can kind of understand that. But it just seemed a bit pointless.
Yeah, it's a very strange radio message, I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what they're doing. But my interpretation was asking permission to just get in Norris's head. Maybe if there's an incident, Norris retires. It's good for his championship, isn't it?
Yeah, he did eventually get past Max, but I think it cost him about 3-4 seconds.
Yeah.
To Piastri in that fight. On the Russell overtake of Perez, what did you think of it? It was down into turn 1. Russell went for the inside.
Naughty. It's the word I'm going to use. It was Kimi-esque. Or rather, was it Kimi on Verstappen, I should say, where Verstappen moved over on Kimi years ago. But it's just a very late move.
I'm surprised he wasn't pulled up for it.
Yeah. Yes, in touring cars, that would have been a verbal warning.
Yeah. Do they do verbal warnings in F1?
Well, probably, but we don't hear about it.
Penalty points.
Yeah, true. So yeah, I thought that was sketchy as well from Perez. So Piastri, this is where the race kind of got a bit interesting again. Piastri pits for his second stop on lap 39. And it was a 52 lap race?
Yes.
53.
Oh, was it?
53.
Oh, yes, it was, sorry, 53.
So when he came back out, he had like 15 laps to go. And I remember looking at the timing thing and going, he's about 13 seconds behind.
Yeah. This is what me and Lisa said as well. And we worked it out at one point that he was only closing in, I can't remember now, 1.5 seconds a lap or something. And I was like, well, it's not going to work.
Yeah. So as soon as he done, and he was behind Sainz as well. So as soon as he came out the pits, I went, if you're Leclerc, why would you not just keep going? And this is what Leclerc did. So it took Piastri a couple of laps to get Sainz. Eventually it did, but he never had the pace to catch Leclerc. And someone's posted a screenshot of all the times that Leclerc did on hard tyres. So he did like 40 odd laps on the hard tyres. And his lap times were like within 3/10 of each other constantly. And there wasn't really a drop off. So Piastri ends up coming in second at the end of all this, and Norris got third. But Leclerc pulls out an amazing strategy to go for the one stop and manages to win the race and is not underweight. So, well done to him. But
we had a cool down lap to collect rubber.
He did.
It was interesting, though, because this weekend, because everyone knew the hard tyres were probably going to be the best ones, and they're only given 2 sets for the weekend, nobody ran them before the race. They weren't running any practice sessions or qualifying sessions, so no one actually knew what the life of these tyres were.
Wow. That's what I love.
Yeah, you had the
Band
prediction
practice.
from Pirelli, but that was it.
Yeah.
You know, in the COVID years, NASCAR had some races where they had literally no practice or qualifying. They just went racing. Love it.
Well, there was McLaren, I think, were screwing their tyres up pretty badly. And it was interesting listening to Lewis Hamilton's post-race interview, because he was saying during the race, when he was getting the McLaren's lap times, he thought at that point they're cooking their tyres. They should not be running that fast.
Oh.
And McLaren Hamilton made the point, is like, if they just backed off, half a second a lap, they would have won the race easily because they would have one stopped. But they were going so hard early that they burnt their tyres out. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, that's a fair point, because you've got Piastri, who was in the lead there, who's inexperienced. Norris is still fairly inexperienced at the front, leading races.
The team as well.
And the team. So I thought that was an interesting observation, that actually they didn't really know what to do, and driving as fast as they could was clearly the wrong decision.
Yeah, and there was the safety element as well, I suppose, in that they assumed everyone was two-stopping, which is a dangerous thing to do, but it kind of looked that way. It was only when they thought, oh, maybe Sainz, I think in particular, they were thinking was going to one-stop, and they asked Piastri if he thought the tyres would make it, and he said no. So, as far as they were concerned then, it was just a no-brainer. A one-stop wouldn't work.
Yeah. So, Piastri ended up losing the race by 2.664 seconds to Leclerc. So, he closed in about 10 seconds that he needed to. So, it feels like a missed opportunity again for McLaren. I mean, you look back, we spoke about Miami earlier, that's where they really turned things around in terms of their car performance. And you look at the races afterwards: Imola, Verstappen won; Monaco, Leclerc won; Canada, Verstappen; Spain, Verstappen; Austria, Russell; Britain, Hamilton; and then you get Piastri winning in Hungary, and then obviously Belgium and Netherlands. One went Hamilton, one went Norris, and now Leclerc wins in Italy. In almost all of those races, McLaren were either the quickest or they were very close to the quickest car.
Yeah.
So for all the ranting and raving about Norris not getting priority, McLaren have let so many opportunities slip away.
Yeah, and not all through the team or all through the driver, a combination of all of them. But yeah, there's been a lot of dropped points throughout this season for them.
Yeah. So what that does in the driver's standings, because Norris came home in third, he's 62 points behind Verstappen. And in the constructors, they are now, McLaren are now 8 points behind Red Bull, but interestingly, Ferrari are only now 39 points behind Red Bull.
Yes.
So we've now got a three-way fight for the constructors, and the way Red Bull are going, it doesn't look like they're going to be winning races in the next few rounds.
It doesn't look like it, but I'm still not going to write it off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's McLaren's team's championship to lose at this stage. We don't know what upgrades are going to come throughout the year or what downgrades, as they seem to be for some teams. I don't think Ferrari are quick enough, but they did bring upgrades to this race, and will they work at other tracks?
Well, that's just the old Tifosi update, isn't it?
But yeah, we just have to see.
Yes, there was again the Norris fan girls and boys were going mad online saying that in the final corner Piastri should have let Norris go past for the extra 3 points.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, but that's a team decision again. If the team want him to do that, that's fair enough. But if the team don't ask him to, there's no way you do that on your own.
Exactly. And as we said, it's a very inexperienced team as well as inexperienced drivers. So this is a huge learning curve for them all. And I think Norris is learning that just because you have the quickest car, there's a lot still has to go right for you to be winning races. So I think it's a big learning curve for everyone in that team.
It is. It's easy to forget rather than remember that McLaren are a very big team. They have a lot of history and a lot of previous wins, but not really very many in the last 10 years.
No, and I'll be very surprised if a large number of people still work there from the heyday.
Exactly, yeah. So although they're a big team in name, they're still learning what it means to fight at the front, as you say.
Yeah. Other interesting note from all this was that Alex Albon got 2 points. So Williams with their upgrade actually managed to get points in this one. Magnussen got a point at the end of it.
I thought it was a good drive, considered.
It was, yeah. It was a very good drive.
And Colapinto, we saw him actually making a few overtakes.
Yeah.
So a fairly decent start for him. If you look at his race time, he was only 14 seconds behind his teammate.
In 12th.
I mean, it's too early to say how he is as a race driver for the team, but it was a pretty solid debut. And he's already ahead of Valtteri Bottas in the standings.
Yeah.
Do you know what this proved to me, though? That you don't need to, if you need a mid-season driver swap or something like this, you actually don't need someone experienced. And actually, I think that's what I made myself a hypocrite. I might have been saying that last podcast. But someone who is competitive in Formula 2 is actually a perfect candidate. Because they're they're pushing really hard and a really super competitive competition that is single seaters that has cars that are analogous to, although very different. You're in that paddock, and you've got this impetuosity of youth.
Mm-hmm. And I think F2 is such a, as you say, it's a competitive championship now. Whereas even a few years back, it was like the top 2 or 3 drivers were very good, and the rest were all good but not brilliant. Whereas now I think there's probably 10, 15 drivers in F2 who are F1 worthy if the right circumstances come around.
That's a very good point. I also think in this contemporary age, the drivers in like F2 and F3 and IndyCar, Formula 1 and WEC, and Formula E, they're all much closer than they ever used to be in terms of abilities and skills, because they can re-watch videos and onboards and telemetry data and simulators and fitness regimes that didn't used to exist.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like James Hunt getting out the car and having a cigarette and a bottle of beer.
You know, Smoking Joe Winkelhock, who was a touring car driver, was so cold because he actually had some fags and a lighter in his socks or down by his ankles. And if there was ever a safety car or a red flag interruption, he had one just in case.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it, when you look back on that?
Crazy.
Yes. So, that was it, I think, for the Italian Grand Prix. A nice, swift 1 minute 14 seconds. Very, very quick Grand Prix. Not a safety car in forever, which is maybe why Burt Mailander crashed.
Yeah, practice.
Just for the lols.
Exactly. So we've not had a safety car in ages, and we've not had reliability problems in ages either. So it's quite incredible, the streak that we're on. So next up is Azerbaijan, Baku Grand Prix, or whatever it's called. It's the 13th to the 15th of September, so that is next weekend.
Yeah, so Adrian Newey, potentially, Azerbaijan, and then it's Singapore. And I think Azerbaijan, Baku, and Singapore are 2 very strange circuits.
Yes.
And if there's changes of form, it's hard to judge based on these 2 races for the final 6.
For instance, Red Bull were terrible at Singapore last year, and possibly the year or 2 before that as well. But
yes, it's been a thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That they don't like Marina Bay for some reason.
Yeah, but Baku is one of those races as well that's always, it's either the most boring race or it's the most ridiculous race ever. And I'm curious what it's going to be this year.
Yeah, I hope it's ridiculous, because I hope 6 cars are close, but you're right, watch it be a snooze fest.
I think Checo's going to win.
Yeah.
So that's my bold prediction. Checo's going to win the next 2 races.
I'm saying Leclerc for Azerbaijan.
I'm saying Checo is straight on at turn 4. Retiring after hitting the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's find out.
Well, we know Nick's at Oracle, so put your money on that.
Oracle Red Bull Racing.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Oh, we're going to have to pay them money for that now.
True. I'm kind of doing the British touring cars. I'm going to name all my sponsors.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Baku is next, and following that is Singapore, and I think that is the same weekend that the BTCC is back.
I believe so. I'm not sure though.
So Silverstone next for that. So thank you very much for downloading. Hope you enjoyed. Give us a subscription if you did, and we'll see you then next week, or in 2 weeks' time, for Azerbaijan. So goodbye.
Ta-ra.
Bye, and in for this championship running in 2 championships. Looking forward to it.
Arrivederci.
Oh yeah, I should have used that at the end, but the start.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ah, welcome.